We were not educated. We never were educated to think and to question. So we've got to get that to be central to what's going on with young people's education from now on if we are going to have a future. So I'm going to hand over to Duane. Now Duane has got an education project here in Norwich. So over to Duane.
You ready? I will start with that. I try my best, Norfolk. I'm originally from Texas. I found out a couple of weeks ago my sister has been doing some research on our background, and evidently on Elm Hill, one of our relatives was raised on Elm Hill, so I'm back. When I'm cleaning windows. Fantastic. I just want to say that I'm the church leader at New Hope Christian Center, and thank you. The first couple of weeks of the lockdown, I was caught off guard. But when I started doing my research and started looking into what was going on, I too joined in the freedom to be able to live the way that we were given the right to live. And we stopped being closed down. We stopped wearing we were singing. We did not yield to the pressures of the government. Now, one of the things that we discovered was how bad education was going in this fine city. Parents, are there any parents here? Parents, you have a legal responsibility to educate your children. Yes? Unfortunately, and I'm guilty, I allowed that responsibility. I gave it to the government. I gave it to the state and said, here, you go train my children. And you know what? I found out very soon it was not working. My children were not learning. My children were told that they were top of the class, but they didn't know how to do basic maths. At 9 years old. Unacceptable.
Hey, sir.
Unacceptable. Now the lockdown, you may know this, you've probably experienced it without necessarily knowing the statistics. I like statistics, so I went and grabbed some. The Children's Society warned the government that lockdown would lead to loneliness with a negative impact. Mental health would take a huge hit, which had already been declining since 2009. There was a waiting time for a child to see a practitioner of 53 days. Wow. By May 2020, the National Foundation said only 2.5% of our children were in school. 2.5%. Very few children were in school. They predicted, this is some information out of the USA, that there would be a 30% loss of progress in reading and a 50% loss of progress in maths. By September 2020, they found that pupils were behind in their learning by 3 months. Pupils in deprived areas where we work in Lakenham were behind by 4 months. The pupil and parent engagement with education was declining. They quit doing the work. Why? Because most of the schools were not grading it, was not looking over it, was not sending anything back saying whether they were correct or incorrect. So they quit engaging. Teachers, you felt that you were not being able to teach to normal standards because classroom arrangements and the reduction of provisions. 28% of our children had no or limited access to IT to be able to do the work that they were told to do at home. 44% needed help to catch up. 44% of the children need help to catch up. Now this is what shocked me, saddened me. 81% of the children needed mental health and well-being support by September 2020, just months into lockdown. What have we done to our children to allow this to happen? By July 2021, most pupils are experiencing COVID-related anxiety. Most teachers felt a lack of support from the children and adolescent mental health services because they were having to give emotional and well-being support as well as academic support. What did the government say? Pupils are actually 6 months behind. Pupils had a very poor education time learning online. The Chief Inspector, Amanda Spillman, said, "It's clear that there is a long way to go before education and social care returns to normal. For many children, there is more to be done to catch them up to a level, the playing field, and to prepare them well for the next stage in their lives." How much do we really want the government doing this for our children?
No, we don't want any state.
But there is hope. We've heard a lot about hope. There is hope. There is the possibility to home educate our children. That means making sacrifices so that our children can, as Nigel said, learn how to think. Our children are taught to trust rather than to think, which is why so much has gone on over the last 2 years. Home education, there are roughly 81,000 children registered. The government wants to get in control, wants to get their hands on it so that they can come into your home to make sure that you're doing what they want. You're teaching them what they want. Here in Norwich, you may or may not know that it has a rich Christian heritage of education right here in this city. It is an incredible inheritance spanning from pre-Norman times. Nearly 1,000 years that the church and Christian philanthropy have been educating the children. It's only in the last 150 years that we've handed that over to the government. I found out yesterday that more and more parents are taking their children out of school. And you know what they're finding? They're finding that they're connecting better with their children, and their children's mental health is getting better. Yeah? Parents, our children learn more from us than they do in the classroom. So why aren't we taking more control of that? At New Hope Christian Center, we're hoping to be able to start a school next year. I've got some information if you are interested. I've got contact forms if you want to be kept informed of what's going on. We want to have a center that teaches children how to think critically, creatively, and independently. Please, there is hope. It is our children, and it is us taking control of our education of our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Duane. Education is very dear to my heart.